The assistant headmaster who locked up students in his office at the Ejisu Senior High Technical School has been granted a 5,000 Ghana cedi bail with one surety. Mr. Pierre Albert Kofi faces charges of assault, unlawful imprisonment and abetment to commit crimes, to wit, attempted suicide. He pleaded not guilty to all the charges. One of the students locked up overnight in the office of the assistant headmaster has also been jailed for a day for stealing a stabilizer belonging to the school. Gurgisbeg Asameti pleaded guilty to the charge of stealing before the Juabeng Circuit Court. Erastus Asari Donko is joining me on Zoom for an update on that. Hello, Erastus. Erastus, I want to start with the student. Yes, I want to start with the student. I mean, give us a mental picture. One day in jail. First of all, how old is he?
Gurgisbeg is 18.
Okay.
And he looked sober in court this morning. In fact, he looked more confused than ever. I felt at the point that I think he needed a lawyer. As to whether they got one for him, I don't know, because he did not have a clue what he was saying. He went to court
without a lawyer?
No, he came to court without a lawyer, and he stood in the dock. His charges were read out to him: conspiracy to commit crime, stealing, and unlawful entry. And he pleaded guilty with explanation for the first one. And with the explanation, he said that they did not intend to steal it. In fact, they wanted to return it. And then the judge said, well, then I'll have to enter a plea of not guilty for you. Then he went ahead to plead guilty for the other ones, the stealing. And that is where the court convicted him on and jailed him for a day and asked him to pay a fine of 100 penalty units, and that's 1,200 Ghana cedis, and to sign a bond of good behavior for 12 months. And so clearly you could see from his face that he was so confused, and he was just in the dock so afraid.
18 years, I mean, he's an adult, but he's still young. Were his parents in court as well?
Well, I saw some family members. I don't know whether they are his parents, but he was standing in the dock together with the assistant headmaster, who was standing closely behind him, you know, and then abet suicide, which the court explained to him that he had no right to lock the students up in his office, knowing very well he had harmful substances, detergents in there, and that they could harm themselves with it. And so that's the meaning of that particular charge. The assault was as a result of the court explained to him that the students indicated that he slapped them many times before he locked them up in the office. He pleaded not guilty to all of them. And so he was granted bail to a sum of 5,000 Ghana cedis with one surety.
But Erasto, just a quick one. I'm curious about Gurgisbeg's presence in court without a lawyer. The state could have still provided for him a lawyer. Do you have any information to this effect, how he ended up without one?
No, in fact, the court officials will not speak to us on that one, and the prosecutor did not also immediately want to speak to us as well. And so we don't have that information, but he was in the dock alone. And when the charges were read out to him, you know, he was in there alone. And so at the point I felt that he didn't know what he was doing, the consequences of what he was saying. Pleading guilty with explanation and all that, and what it meant. The court clerk explained to him that if he pleads guilty means he admits that he committed the offense and that he had something to say. And he nodded. And that is where they took his explanation. And the explanation to me did not also make sense, because he was blaming the other student who drank the detergent for hiding the gadget at a point in time before the two decided to send it to the authorities of the school. And so then the judge said, so did you really intend to steal the gadget? He said, no, we never meant to steal the gadget. So the judge had to then say that, okay, then I have to enter a plea of not guilty for you. And that's what she did.
This is sounding really interesting, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to get more information out of this, because for a person even as young as he is, he ought to be represented by a lawyer. And if he doesn't have one, unless it is his decision not to, the state ought to have provided him one. But what you have also just said, as we wrap up quickly on this, Erastus, is that the other gentleman who drank or who allegedly attempted suicide is still in hospital and has not, yet been charged.
Exactly. And from the father is telling us that as soon as he heard that they've charged him with attempted suicide, which is a crime, yesterday he collapsed again and they had to rush him to the Ejisu government hospital. Today he came to court with a medical report from the Ejisu government hospital indicating that he has been hospitalized again. He's not fit to stand trial. Other than that, the judge was about to issue a bench warrant for his arrest. And so currently, he on the charge sheet, he's facing only one charge, that is attempted suicide, and he's not linked to the stealing and other charges.
Which prison or which prison is going to have this gentleman Gajisbek for one day?
Well, it wasn't clear in there, but I think I heard, because we tried to get further and better particulars, but we couldn't get that from the registrar before we left, because he said the court will have to conclude proceedings for the day before they have to get the information from the judge's diary to be able to give us that information. So we do not know whether he will be taken to the main prison or he will be taken to, an institution for children.
Well, he's not a child at 18 anymore, unfortunately for him. Erastus, thank you. Thank you very much for that update. Erastus Asaridonko there with some update on this Ejisu Senior High Technical School.